Today's prospect spotlight focuses on a linebacker with NFL bloodlines, and he might just be the perfect linebacker for the Colts' long-term future. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Colts, your daily Indianapolis Colts podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to Locked On Colts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network out there. Thank you for joining us today, everybody. I am Jake Arthur, your Indianapolis Colts beat writer for Roundtable Sports, joined by the ever effervescent, we'll say, Zach Hicks, the biggest film nerd in the game when it comes to the Colts sphere. And if you guys heard on our most recent episode, we teased this at the end. We're going to start bringing these little prospect spotlights to you, and just these kind of like bite-sized episodes, talking to you guys about some of our favorite draft prospects throughout the process. We'll bring some free agents into it at some point as well. But today we wanted to start with the linebacker position, a group we're really starting to like, Zach, because when you focus on the fact the Colts don't have a first-round pick, the second round really seems chock full of some good front seven prospects. And so today you have highlighted for us former Missouri linebacker by way of West Virginia and son of former Eagles linebacker Jeremiah Trotter. It's Josiah Trotter. So what do you got for us?
Yeah, no, you gave a good background there, Josiah Trotter. You know, he originally committed to West Virginia, missed his true freshman season due to an injury, but started the entirety of the 2024 season for West Virginia, won like Big 12 freshman, all conference honors, freshman of the year honors, and parlayed that into transferring to Missouri, goes to Missouri, is among the top 10 in the conference in tackles for a loss in his first year there as a redshirt sophomore, and I think he was first team all SEC as well in his first year starting in the conference. So got off to a pretty quick start in one of the toughest conferences in college football. And yeah, there's a lot to like about Josiah Trotter on film too. I mean, one, you have the bloodlines, right? Jeremiah Trotter is a player we all remember. I mean, maybe I don't remember, but Jake, I'm sure you remember, right? All-pro player in 2000, 2001. And you can kind of see the same traits in his son here, Josiah, where this big, lengthy, athletic, twist, like just bendy linebacker that has all the athleticism in the world to play the position. I think for my money, he's the best, second best run defending linebacker in the class behind Sonny Styles, obviously from Ohio State. But I think he's the second best run defending linebacker in the class. Really good arms, really good power in his punch. Knows how to avoid and deconstruct blocks at a high level. And whether it's zone runs or power runs coming at him, I think he plays it exceptionally well. So you get that aspect. I think he's got good traits that project well to man coverage as well, in terms of just being able to run down running backs and tight ends with his length and his speed. And also as a blitzer, you see some really cool flashes on film. There was a couple against like Texas A&M where I'm seeing him bend around the corner against Trey Zune, who's going to be an NFL center. 2 sacks against Alabama as well on blitzes in that game. There's some really good traits there when it comes to blitzing and defending the run that I think make him a day one impact player in the league. There are some concerns with zone coverage, given that he's only 20 years old and only has 2 years of starting at the college level. I don't think the feel is overall is there right now. But this is a player who I think can certainly grow into it and become that all-around do-it-all linebacker. He's depending on where you have Arvell Reese in this class, he's my linebacker 2 or linebacker 3. I think I'm going to finish with like a top 30 grade on him in this draft. I think that the sky is the limit, and I compare him to a player like Devin Lloyd, who's about to hit free agency and get paid $20 to $25 million by some team out there. If you want like a little bit more of a lower end cop, like a Dion Henley from the Chargers, just fits that mold of lengthy, aggressive, attacking linebacker. And he's got so much runway in front of him to be a good player in this league. Maybe in year one, it's a little bit up and down, but I think by the end of his rookie contract, this is going to be a star linebacker in the NFL.
Yeah, I know when you watch a guy and he's not already super, adept in pass coverage, it can be concerning that he's just going to be a thumper or what have you. But like you mentioned, he's really fluid and he's just an oily mover. You know what I mean? Like he's He's got the hips that can flip really well. So that doesn't really concern me when it comes to his growth in coverage. Like you mentioned, laterally and everything in front of him, he's already pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really have concerns for what's in front of him, but it's zone, like you mentioned, like kind of your peripheral vision and your feel for where guys are, just like you mentioned. I think that'll just come with more reps. And he's only going to be 21 in April, so he's a very young player. So, yeah, I think right now he can make a quick impact because he's already a very good run defender. He'll probably take some lumps in coverage, sure, but you can see clear identifiers that he will probably get there sooner rather than later. Like, I know when you forecast him like to the Colts, people get concerned about, well, Zaire Franklin is a liability in coverage. It's much different. You know what I mean? Like, you see traits with this guy that Franklin doesn't necessarily have. But one of the most important things to me about Trotter is he's got the things I love. Like, he's going to go run into fire to get to the ball carrier, very aggressive, not passive in the least when it comes to getting to the ball carrier. He finds really narrow areas in the trenches to get through. He's powerful, and he's a sure tackler as well. And you had mentioned his pass rush. He's actually got a pretty high pass rush win rate as well. So this is a guy who, within the end of his first year into his second year, he's going to be a pretty good 3-down linebacker that you probably don't have to worry about much at all when it comes to any aspect.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when we get back here after a quick break, I am so pumped to talk about how I think he is the perfect fit for the Colts in this draft. Like, yes, yeah. I think they could use a coverage guy with him, but in terms of what this Colts defense does and how Lou Anarumo deploys his linebackers, I think Josiah Trotter is like a perfect one-to-one fit for what this Colts team needs. But we'll talk about that here in just a second.
Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough. Sure, you want someone who's in-network nearby and has availability, but you also want someone who listens, makes you feel comfortable, and explains things clearly. That kind of doctor does exist, and finding them is easy with Zocdoc. Zocdoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so that you can find someone you love without all the hassle. We're talking about booking in-network appointments with more than 150,000 providers across all 50 states, covering over 200 specialties, from primary care and dentistry to dermatology and eye care. I'll admit it, I definitely put off going to the doctor longer than I should, like I think a lot of us do. Between work, life, and everything else, it's easy to delay, but ZocDoc makes the process simple. You can search by specialty or symptom and actually build a care team that works for you. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL to find and instantly book a doctor that you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message.
And have you guys ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right, flights, tickets, and the whole experience. So if you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make that deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking the team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every single game down the stretch. And now, not only can you pick cash, but it could also send you to the finals. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for a chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
And it's that time of year, but tax season does not have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending time and hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person, or you can connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms, and they work to get you every deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver, and it gives real peace of mind knowing that an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. Just make sure you file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. All right, welcome back, everydayers. And if you're watching this, you're probably a step beyond everydayers because this is a bonus episode. We are diving into our prospect spotlight series that we're going to be doing in between now and the draft. And today we are focusing on Mizzou linebacker Josiah Stewart.
Josiah Stewart. Whoa, Josiah Trotter. Come on.
I knew I would do it. I knew I would do it. I've been having Stewart on the tip of my tongue the whole time. Josiah Trotter from Mizzou. We feel is a very kind of glove fit for this defense, especially if you want to move on from a certain someone at some point. But Zach, why don't you tell us how the Colts can get to Trotter and what his fit is?
Yeah, so in terms of where he could go in the draft, I think honestly in this class, once you get outside the top 10, everything's off the table, because as a lot of people have been saying, this is a draft class where there's like 6 to 7 or 6 to 8. I know I just killed myself in the comments there. 6 to 8 like blue chip players in this class. And after that, it becomes open season from players like 10 to 40, 10 to 50. Anyone in that range could go anywhere. And I think Trotter falls perfectly in that range with his youth, with his speed, with his athleticism. So it really wouldn't shock me if he went in like that 20 range. But as of right now, I see him on a lot of big boards being, in that 40 to 60 range in a lot of them. So I think if the Colts were to want him, it would have to be at that 47 pick. But I'd feel more than comfortable taking him there, not only with what I think he can be in this league, which is a top 10 linebacker by the end of his rookie contract, but also with his fit in this defense. I think Lou Anarumo's defense and just similar defenses like this, like Brian Flores' defense and types like this, I think are just great fits for a player like him. Like he is an aggressive downhill, one of those players where, you have to hold him back with a leash at all times. And once you let him off, then he's go, go, go. And these type of systems that Lou and Flores and them run really accentuates that type of play. If we look at how the Colts used their linebackers last season, yes, they were in zone coverage. Yes, they were in coverage every now and then. But almost every third down snap, they're sim pressuring. They're mugging the A gap. They're getting up there on the line of scrimmage. Colts had the 4th highest blitz rate in the NFL last season. They were one of 5 teams above 28% last season. So they like to use their linebackers and use players to get after the quarterback. And I think that's where Trotter really excels right now. And then in the run game, just being aggressive with their run blitzes, being aggressive with their run fits, and then having a guy where, yes, he's a little bit redundant with Franklin because Franklin has some of the similar strengths and weaknesses. But I think where Trotter is very different is his ability to deconstruct those blocks. We look at Franklin, he's more run and chase. He's more of a player from the backside, or if you can get him free or if we can dodge a block, he's going to make a play on the ball carrier. With Trotter, though, it kind of reminds me of when Bobby Okereke came here in Indy and they played him at Sam linebacker for a little bit, and he was just running over fullbacks and running over offensive tackles that were pulling out to get him. Mm-hmm. Trotter kind of brings that same energy and explosiveness and power where he can meet a lineman in the hole and not get driven back and not get knocked off the ball. There are some reps, obviously, on film where he does, but that happens to all linebackers. I think it's more consistent that you see him meeting players in the hole and making plays on the ball. So overall, this scheme accentuates linebackers that want to play downhill and want to be aggressive and want to be impact players in both the run and pass game coming downhill. And I think that's where Trotter is really going to thrive as of right now. So as long as this system can kind of get him up to speed in his play action responses and roboting back to locations, which I have no reason to think they wouldn't when I saw how Franklin and Pratt looked in those aspects last year. I think he can be an awesome fit in Lou Anarumo's defense. I'd be so excited if the Colts took him just for the blitzing and just for the run defense. Mm-hmm. You're already winning in multiple phases of the game, just having him on the field with your team. So Trotter might go too high for the Colts, and that would be, the Carson Schwarzenegger of it all again. Man, I would just love his fit in this. When we saw how Lou deployed his linebackers and deployed his defense last year, getting him in this blitz heavy, just run blitz heavy type of a scheme. Oh gosh, what a perfect fit for Trotter in this draft class.
You just mentioned kind of the buzz name I was thinking of, because when I watched him, I was like, I feel like this is how I felt after watching Schlesinger last year. A guy who is getting second round love, but you look at his tape and you're like, NFL guys are going to love this. Like there's no reason for him to be this low. So for him to be bottom first, early second, wouldn't be surprised. Probably not even going to be there towards the end of the top 50 when the Colts are picking. Potentially. I mean, this is a deeper linebacker class than last year, I would say. Maybe a little more variety than last year. So that could put him available to the Colts there. But yeah, it's they're not far off. And Schlesinger, again, defensive rookie of the year. Just some things to cover up in coverage, which I think Trotter has the same thing going on. But I was going to actually ask you. So it sounds like eventually, would you want him to be the Mike or like full on Will all the time?
Yeah, I'd prefer him more on the Mike in this system. And like honestly, I think he could be fine alongside Franklin. Franklin more as like the Will. It would be a weird fit in year one because you'd want Trotter to grow into the green dot where Franklin's been the green dot guy for a couple years.
Yeah.
I think play style wise, you'd prefer Franklin as the Will and Trotter as the Mike because you can have the Mike kind of fitting a little bit harder against the run, and the Will is more in that run and chase type role, which I think Franklin thrives in more. But because of the experience, because of the age difference, and just Franklin being the green dot for so long, you probably prefer Franklin as the green dot early. And then as Franklin gets phased out or moves on to another team the next couple of years, then Trotter could take over that Mike role, similar to the same growth that Franklin had actually with the Colts as well. So yeah, ideally, I think he projects well to be a Mike in the NFL, but I think he can play some Sam. I think Will could be perfectly fine for him. I just prefer him more at like the point of attack more so than like a player like Franklin, because Franklin's more run and chase than Trotter.
No, I think he fits well because kind of lost in this all. We talk a lot about Franklin, but the Colts are also likely losing Jermaine Pratt, who I think Trotter can kind of fill a lot of those holes because Pratt's kind of built the same way where he's just kind of reckless abandon. He's big though, you know what I mean? He's bigger than Trotter, so he's able to kind of brush off some of the attack. But Trotter's just stout, you know what I mean? Like you mentioned, he's not really going to get caught up in the mess too much. So I really like that. And it's a way to incorporate a bigger, tougher linebacker who has athleticism. I'm going to guess that he's going to work out pretty well in Indy here. But you don't have to sacrifice the size. You know what I mean? You don't have to get a kid who's Kyle Lewis's size, who we're going to wind up talking about. But like Lewis is undersized for linebacker. There's no other way around it. Trotter's not. But you're going to get pretty good athleticism and mobility out of it without sacrificing the size and strength, which is a big deal, I think.
Yeah, no, for sure. 6'2", 237, moves very well. We'll see if he works out in Indy. He did have knee surgery right before his bowl game. So we will see if he works out. But I think if he does, we're going to see some pretty great testing numbers from Josiah Trotter. But that is all we have for today, guys. This is our Prospect Spotlight series. So if you enjoy this kind of content, leave us a like or subscribe or leave us a positive review on iTunes, however you listen to your shows. Thanks again for tuning in to this bonus episode of Locked On Colts. They'll be back yet again tomorrow. So make sure you subscribe to our show and get all the latest episodes. And if you don't already, make sure you're following at Locked On Colts, at Jake Arthur NFL, and at Zach Hicks 2, all on socials. And if you never missed that episode, then remember the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Colts audio without all those ads, so ad-free, plus members-only Discord access, and much more. Head to lockedoncolts.supercast.com to join the club or follow the link in our show notes right now. We'll see you guys back here yet again tomorrow afternoon.